Welcome to the Being Curious Show. I'm Brian Mariani, founder of No Shift Own.
And I'm Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. Our show is about curiously connecting teachers and seekers on a wide range of topics in a safe space. Few topics will be off limits, and we have some amazing guests to share with you.
Our intention is that our conversations will spark your own curiosity to create a life that lights you up and inspires you to be kind, thoughtful, open-minded to yourself and others.
We are on AM 950, Sundays at 2 p.m. and all podcast platforms. So, Brian, what are you curious about today?
Welcome to the Being Curious Show. Kelly, I'm so excited that we're on today.
Oh my gosh, Brian, this is going to be a good one, man.
It's going to be a good one. There's been a lot of fire happening behind the scenes. We're ready to go. And we've got Lana and Karinia here from Heart Centric. So we always like to start off with something that I know both of you are all about because I've checked you out and read up on you, and I know that there's a curious nature in both of you.
He stalked you both online.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Just checking. With Bloody Mary in hand.
So because there's two of you, we're going to kind of allow you to ping pong off each other. So I'm just going to ask the question to both of you, and you guys rock it. What got you curious around taking the path that you did in life leading up to today?
Paper, rock, scissors. Who's going first?
I'm gonna let Karinia.
Okay, thanks. That's a really big question.
So, Karinia, introduce yourselves to this beautiful community. Say who you are, and then answer Brian's question because that's going to be fantastic.
Oh, my pleasure. Hi, I'm Karinia Mueller, and I am here in this awesome studio with Lana Brooks and Kelly Wagner, and just having fun, but. To answer your question, I spent over 30 years in corporate America and enjoyed it, but realized that I just wasn't fulfilling my purpose. So I went on a path of figuring out what is going to do that for me, and that was all about helping people. So I got certified as a coach, and in the process ended up meeting my dear friend Lana here. She was getting certified as well, so we were both students. And when we got our coaching certifications, we decided to partner up, and we created a Heart Centric Coaching Collaborative. And that was about a year ago. And things have been on this crazy, exciting roller coaster ever since. So I'll let Lana talk a little bit about all the exciting things that we've been up to.
Okay, Lana, you're on the stage now, lady. Go for it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's really great to be here, and thank you for having us. I'm Lana Brooks, and my background...
You say that with a question mark. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, that's not my maiden name, but I'm Lana Genlin Brooks.
There we go. How's that?
And yeah, my background spans multiple industries and business models. I have worked in nonprofit. I spent the first half of my career working in museums all over the country. And it's a passion of mine. I'm a very curious person by nature. I studied anthropology, and that's kind of where my roots are. I'm very curious about people, what motivates them, what makes them tick, and just different cultures and places in the world. And I found myself also working in corporate after my nonprofit career in museums. And I actually left the corporate world to launch a startup here called Creator Space, which is very near and dear to my heart. But I've always been around creative people and creative communities and environments, and that really led to me coaching. One of my favorite things to do there was to help people really understand what fuels them creatively, what drives them, and how to tap into that and find their creative flow. Once we get into that state, that's when amazing things start to happen. You know, your juices start flowing, and you can bring ideas and products to market faster. So I did that for a little while, and then, as Karinia mentioned, decided to formalize my coaching and enrolled in a coaching certification program where we met. And from there, we formed the coaching collaborative because we really felt like our values aligned and we wanted to help each other. We wanted to help each other market one another. And as we went out and worked with our corporate clients and bigger teams, it's much more effective to do that with a partner. And Karina's been a fantastic partner. She's an amazing partner in crime.
Thank you.
So, going back to this whole idea of creativity, we truly believe that everybody needs to have a creative outlet, and we started making jewelry as a creative outlet. We started making bracelets and different things, and then one day we were chatting, and I think Karina had like some kind of question or something, and she couldn't make a decision, and I said, well, why don't you ask your pendulum, or let's do the pendulum test? And she was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, have you never done that before? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, let me show you how this works. So for those of you who have not worked with a pendulum before, I mean, a pendulum can be anything that's weighted, right? And basically it uses your own energy to show you yes and no answers to your own questions. So we started using this pendulum, and the next week she comes over and she's like, Lana, I have a present for you. And she whips out this awesome pendulum that she had created. And I was like, oh, my God, that's fantastic, So we started making pendulums, and our friends started asking us where they could get one and how they could buy one. And I don't know, all of a sudden this creative outlet morphed into a business. So now we've got Heart Centric Coaching Collaborative, and we have Heart Centric Divine Creations. And that's all about our pendulums. And really the crux of it is that you are tapping into your own inner wisdom and inner guidance. And the pendulum is just but one tool that helps you do that. So I'll stop there and we can keep going. So I'll hand it back over to you guys.
Oh my gosh, you're fantastic. And by the way, in studio, we have multiple pendulums going on right now. Woo. So it's really hard to describe that on air, but everyone could probably just imagine what we're doing.
We'll do our best.
Just Google magic. You'll figure it out.
At AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Lana, when you were talking, I remembered something that you wrote, and I think it said basically that we all have the answers within. And as you were talking about the pendulums, I'm wondering if you could describe to our audience how, like, the relationship between having the answers within and how that gets transferred to a instrument like a pendulum, and what kind of like the power that's in that's available for everyone.
Yeah, sure. And I'll let Karina jump in here as well. But basically, we believe that we are all resourceful and we have all of the answers within us. And if you think about it, we use 5 to 10% of our conscious mind, and 90 to 95% of everything that we feel, all of our emotions, all of our memories are stored in our subconscious. And so the pendulum really represents a tool to help you connect with your own wisdom, with your own inner guidance, and extract, if you will, what's already within you. Sometimes, as we go through life, we can get confused and we just need a little extra help. We need some clarity. We have questions that we all wrestle with. And to have a tool like the pendulum, basically you are really answering your own questions. So instead of looking for validation externally, like, we've all done before, you can go within and really pull out the answer that you already have. And so really it's just, again, but one tool that you can use to do that, because there are others definitely that are out there. We believe the pendulum is a really powerful tool in that, and it's also a very personal tool. So what we've done with our pendulums is we've really made them beautiful, because we want people to really connect with them and bond with them and use them, because you're working with your own energy and with its energy as well. So, Karina, you want to jump in too? I feel like I'm hogging the microphone here.
Well, and before you jump in, what I'm really getting on it is it's a way to, we're telling ourselves to trust our guts.
Right.
And it's just that little extra bit of, right?
That's right.
Go for it.
Oh, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is all about what is the information that's already stored within us at a cellular level, and how can we tap into it quicker and more efficient. I mean, there's other tools, like Lana said. There's yoga, there's meditation, there's oracle cards. There's lots of other ways that you can tap into your inner knowing. But this is just a very easy, straightforward tool that anybody can use. And what we had done is, we are trying to bring this tool to the masses to help and educate people to just figure out how to go within. Don't look to the outside world for validation. Don't look to the outside world for answers. You already know what you need. Go within, be quiet, get into a meditative state, and ask your pendulum the answers, the questions that you're already seeking the answers to. And your body already knows, and it'll tell you. So that's kind of the magical part about it, is it's already storing the information that is already within you, and you're just bringing it out to the surface.
And I see some beautiful flow between your coaching practice and how you'd work with your clients, and then also the pendulums. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I'm really tapping into that, and I see the infinity symbol and how they can just complement each other, but then also come into the middle in this beautiful area.
Yeah. I mean, when we work with our clients, again, we really know that what we're doing is we're empowering individuals to answer their own questions and to remove blocks and obstacles so that they can move their lives forward. And the pendulum, again, is one representation of how to do that. So, it really does go hand in hand, because we're working with clients to teach them how to do that, how to have a sense of self-agency and be able to regulate themselves inside of any situation, not just, immediate challenges that they're going through in life, whether that's relationships or career change or, divorce or whatever it may be, grief. So again, the pendulum is a complement, if you will, and an addition to helping people really reach their goals.
So how is it different working with clients now I don't want to say post-pandemic, because, we're really not out of it, but we're kind of wrapping things up. How you would work with management and C-suites and clients pre the last couple of years must be a lot different than right now, because people are packing up their desk and quitting. And they might not have an exit plan. They might not have a parachute. They might not have something lined up, but they're trusting universe and saying, bam, I'm done. So corporate culture is so important now, and companies have had to totally make this huge shift with it. So touch on that a little bit, because I just find that fascinating, where it's not just about the spreadsheet. It's not about the bottom line. It's not about the numbers. Yes, it is. We get it.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. But now HR and marketing and other departments are able to raise their hands and say, we matter too, and here are the surveys from the employees, and this is what they need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And what we have seen is people are just out of touch, or historically have been out of touch with their workplace values. And some of the work that we have done is help organizations really dig in and understand what are their personal values and how to bring those out to the surface, and then dig in and understand what are their workplace values. Because if you're not honoring your personal or workplace values at your place of work, you're never going to be at peace. You're never going to really, truly be an effective, productive employee that just follows the mission and is on board with the corporate strategy. You need a place that really nurtures you. And understanding what is important to you is just the first step to that. So that's something that we do to uncover is like you got to dig in and understand what you value.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever start to work with HR departments like pre-hire? Because is that something that you guys are working with on seeing if the person on paper is aligned with their values? Have you been requested to do something like that?
No, we have not, but that is a really brilliant idea, Kelly.
Little thought bubble that just went.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. You know what? I had an opportunity to go in to a class and do this with college seniors, and it was a brilliant aha moment for a lot of people in that class.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, so much more, so much to tee up. This is fantastic. We are the Being Curious with Kelly and Brian show, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We're here with the Heart Centric ladies. So much more to come.
Welcome back to Being Curious with Kelly and Brian. We are here with Lana and Karinia. We're having tons of fun. And we are moving into a really interesting topic here that we alluded to in the first segment. And I'd love to hear from both of you, with your corporate backgrounds, how do you find, what's the experience of taking someone from that world to all of a sudden spinning a pendulum or looking within? What are some of those techniques, tools, environments you create to help bridge that gap?
Hey, that's a great question. Yeah. You know what? We weren't sure how people were going to react to it. Just being completely honest, we're like, okay, do we just put ourselves out there in the world and say, hey, this is what we do, or do we just sort of ease our way into it? And it's taken a few months to actually peel back the layers. And I got to say, 99% of the people that we come in contact with, whether they're old friends or new people that we meet, are so open and so excited and just want to learn. There's maybe 1 or 2% that are like, oh, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure I understand. Or if they pick one up and for whatever reason they aren't able to work with it, they become a little bit hesitant. But anyone with an open mind and an open heart is going to have great success working with a pendulum. And, we're excited because we think we've uncovered like a really unique business model and opened up an opportunity for us to teach the world what these are about and how they can be used for the good, used for most optimal outcomes, as our dear friend Kelly would say.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to interject for a second because we were at an event this weekend at the Lake Harriet Spiritual Center. Thank you, Gary, and your fantastic group. So at Lake Harriet Spiritual Center in Minneapolis, you have the sanctuary, and it was upstairs, and then they had the downstairs that they had vendors and their vendor partners. But upstairs was there was the psychic fair. So in the sanctuary, they had a bunch of readers. So I thought it would be really, really fun to throw my hat in the ring and be a reader, and that was an adventure all in itself. We could do a little mini show on that. But in between breaks, I would come down, and Lana was had a table, and I would come in, and I would see all these different vendors, and then I would see they set up this beautiful presentation and then chairs, and it's so inviting, and you just saw these people that were sitting on the chair and they were just playing with their pendulum and it was like they were it was just beautiful to watch because you create this beautiful experience where you're like, come sit with me.
Yeah.
Okay? Here,
Yeah.
take this. What do you think? And some people will be like, okay, this is bat blankety blank crazy. I'm sitting here with this and that. But then after they breathe and they kind of get a little curious, they're like, ooh, what about that one? Or what about that one? And then they start playing with it, and then you give them just a couple moments of tips and tricks, and they don't know they're doing this, but they dial in and they start using it as a tool. So it was lovely for me to be able to come in and just watch you guys have ceremony with these people that were curious. And they were just walking by, and they just felt this gravitational pull to want to sit down and share space with you. So it's not just about the pendulum, it's also your energy and what you're doing and what you're creating with it. And I think it was a beautiful, as an observer and as someone that knows you, but then also as an observer and watching your energy in this vendor fair where there is just all these different offerings and all these different people. And then you see this little corner and these people were just so excited to be sharing space with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what we provide in the experience that we create is just that. It's very personal. So when we're at pop-ups or doing different shows, we invite people to get curious. We ask them, are you familiar with pendulums? Well, are you curious to try one? Come on in and play with it. We want people to touch them and feel them. And, pendulums, typically our pendulums have crystals and stones on them attached to them. And so they absorb people's energy and they work with your energy. And so it's really, I guess, how I can correlate it to our coaching practice too, is that, to watch somebody light up and have that aha moment that you talked about is very similar to what happens when you empower people to answer their own questions in coaching. And that is one of the greatest joys that we get, is to watch somebody discover, what they're seeking and empower themselves to get there on their own, right? We're just asking powerful questions, just like the pendulum is a powerful tool that allows you to do that. So it's really a lot of fun to educate people around how to do that. And a lot of people are not familiar with pendulums. And as Karinia was saying, we've kind of trickled our way very slowly into, okay, how do we introduce this to people? Because some people do have a stigma attached to it still. They're like, what is this pendulum? Is this, something that witches use or whatever it may be? They have
let's pause that for a second because that just popped in a couple moments ago. I saw witches and I'm like, okay, but how do you normalize pendulums? Because, right?
It's a great question. And the way that we normalize it is we talk about your own energy and your own inner wisdom. And we, like Lana described earlier, we talk about the mind being like an iceberg. And the tip of the iceberg is your conscious mind. Everything else is stored underneath. It is your subconscious, and it's everything that you come across in your life, everything you read, everything you see, every conversation that you have, everything is recorded. And that's where your feelings and emotions come from. So this is already within you. So what we do is we educate people to tap into their own inner wisdom using a pendulum and tap into their cellular memory, tap into everything that's buried deep inside to get those answers. So there's nothing out of the ordinary in terms of, hey, you already collected this information. This is something that's stored inside you. So what is not normal about that? Just tap into it. Seek your own inner knowledge and inner wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, too, the way that we are normalizing it is just by treating it and talking about it as if it's not a big deal. I mean, it's, it should be normal. I mean, people should go within to answer their own questions, right? And in addition to that, I think, too, that, pendulums are, a way to really get at what is already there. And I just lost my train of thought, I'll be honest.
It's almost like go for it, Brian. Yeah, I can see Brian's just percolating.
No, I had a point. I really did.
Nope, you're not allowed to have it.
I think I might help you here. The energy is really flowing. Because what I could see the audience really being curious about, and I would love to hear your actual experiences with this, because Karinia, you keep talking about like the neurolinguistic pathways and all this neuroscience of the brain. And what my experience of a pendulum has been, and what I've seen in others, is that it can be a first access point to your first engagement in confidence with going inside, with going within. In other words, you're having an energetic exchange with something that maybe you've never experienced, and then you have that perception and experience within your brain and within your body that says, whoa, I just did something I've never done before that I never even thought was possible. And now I'm starting to build my confidence that might lead to a meditative practice, that might lead to going deeper within. So I'd be curious, like, what's that experience been like to see that on someone's face where they go, whoa, I just did that?
Yeah, that was actually the point I was trying to
There we
make.
go.
I thought so.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, again, like when we have that personal exchange with people face to face and you watch them do it for the first time and they realize, wow, okay, I just answered my yes and my no, or they think of a question and then they get the answer.
And they know it's right.
And they know it's right. And they just like, I mean, they'll jump for joy. They're like, you know, you can just see the look of awe on their faces. And it is really a fun and wild, you know, experience to be a part of that. It happens all the time. We have stories upon stories of people like, you know, they'll try the pendulum. They'll realize, oh my gosh, this works, you know. Sometimes they walk away and they don't get one, but they'll like drive away for half an hour and come back and be like, I can't stop thinking about this. I had to have this pendulum.
And by the way, that's happened to you, hasn't it?
Many times. And Karinia and I always say we know that the right pendulum is going to find the right hands. And when we create these and we design them and make them all ourselves, they're handcrafted and each one is unique. So no two are like, just like each person's soul, right?
They're like snowflakes.
They are. They're beautiful too. They're personal, right?
We love every single one.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because again, the way that they find their owners there's stories upon stories there too, and we get the most joy and pleasure out of knowing that they're going to find the right hands and bring somebody guidance and wisdom and clarity in their life. So
Can I share my pendulum
fun.
story? I need to share this
Yeah,
one. This
absolutely.
Is, so
We love them.
I was gifted one, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, and I went and I had it and I was carrying it with me and I was having fun and we were getting to know each other and it was lovely. And I'm not normally a pendulum girl, so it was really lovely to get to know this little friend. And I was getting my hair done and my beautiful stylist, Mackenzie Labine with Wild Horse Studios, by the way, is amazing. And she was telling me about pendulums and I was like, what? And I brought mine out, and she tried it, and it did magical things in her hands that it didn't do in mine. And I was like, I guess this isn't mine. And I just gave it to her, and she was like, yay! And she got all excited about it. So it was really, really lovely that I was supposed to facilitate that going to her, and she just loved it. She was just like, yep, it's mine. I mean, it was just fantastic. And it just watching her light up about it and to be able, and it was so aligned with her. So I'm just telling you my pendulum story.
That's a really great story. And again, you know, they just seem to find their rightful owners.
It jumped out of my hands.
Really,
It was like, here, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry, Brian.
No, I'm buzzing with this question, Karinia and Lana. Have you ever had someone like, you know, they're doing the pendulum and it's spinning and they're going, this can't be real, like someone is shaking something, and they'll literally like try it 3, 5, 10 times to try to prove that it's not working or that it's just something that couldn't possibly be true?
You know, I think when people get the pendulum in their hands and we do just a tiny little bit of training to help them figure out what their personal yes movement is and what their personal no movement is. And then we encourage them to ask like a, you know, silly question. Is it, you know, a bright, beautiful, sunny day when it's really cold and gloomy outside? And then they see a simple question like that get answered in their hands. And then I also encourage them to like, just don't say it out loud. Ask a question only you know the answer to. Ask it in your head and see what the pendulum says. And then they're like completely convinced. You know, at that point, they're like, whoa, that was the answer I needed. And then I'm like, okay, well, ask something you're curious about.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had like this mom and daughter one time, and the daughter was asking whether she was with the right boyfriend. And it basically came out and said, no, she's not. And she's like, okay, I did know this. I just need to face up to it now. I'm like, okay, you know, sometimes it just helps you uncover the truth that you know you need in your life and helps you nudge your life forward by not staying in situations where you're going to be stuck.
Yeah. You know, I mean, Brian, I think to go back to your question too, there are times where people will pick up a pendulum and it doesn't do anything, right? And so, you know, there are a few things that could be happening there. And maybe they're not ready for the answer. Maybe they're not open-minded at that point to it. Maybe it's not the right one for them. I mean, a whole host of things. But I would say 95% of the time it works and people walk away going, oh, my God, what just happened there? And especially if, you know, that was the first time that they've ever used one or heard of one. Most people are curious about them, though, for sure.
It's once it's in their hands, it's hard for them to put them down.
Oh my gosh, you guys, having so much fun with the Pendulum Girls. I'm just going to start calling you the Pendulum Girls. Hey, it is Being Curious. Woohoo! Being Curious with Kelly and Brian, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and we'll be back in a little bit.
Welcome back. This is Being Curious with Kelly and Brian. We are here and we are getting into our last segment. We are so excited to have our amazing guests with us. And we'd love for you to talk about your work and how relevant it is today. I know that you both are globally compassionate. Your work expands even beyond the Twin Cities here. So talk a little bit about your work and how relevant it is today and what you're both up to.
Okay, well, yes, I love that. We are globally compassionate. I love it.
Write that down.
I know, globally compassionate. No, I mean, it's funny you should say that. Karinia and I, when we met, we both discovered that we were not born in this country. And we discovered that in a very roundabout way. We had no idea that we are both from the former Soviet Union. We came here as young kids. Won't go down that rabbit hole, but that's to say that, you know, everything that's happening right now in our world, especially with Ukraine, is very near and dear to our hearts. And it's something that has touched my family very personally. My mom is from the Ukraine, and so I'm half Ukrainian. And we have relatives who were living in Kiev who have been displaced and who are now living in Poland and who are struggling like so many other millions of people and having a really hard time and trying to figure it out and what's next. And, you know, they have small children and they're separated from, you know, their husband. And so he's in Kiev still on the front lines. So we wanted to make an impact through our work. And so, you know, having talked with my cousin, it became very clear that a lot of the efforts were not reaching them directly. This was, you know, probably 3 weeks ago now. And we thought, well, what can we do? And we came up with the idea to have a Peace, Prayers, and Pendulums vigil, if you will. It was an amazing event that we held around a peace pole in a very near and dear friend's backyard, Carolyn Vinup of Gateways to Brilliance. And this was just an amazing event to send love and peace and healing out into the world, and not just to the people of Ukraine, but all of humanity, because we all could use some.
And what was the sister? So you guys attracted Ron Case, who's the mayor of Eden Prairie, and then the Hopkins mayor. I'm so
Patrick
sorry.
Hanlon.
Beautiful. And in that ceremony, we realized that Hopkins has a sister city. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Hopkins' sister city is actually Borispol, Ukraine. And so there are a lot of relief efforts right now going on in that city to help with humanitarian efforts. So we created a Ukrainian-inspired line of pendulums, and we had everybody at this event use their pendulums to spread the energy out and let it vibrate out into the world. And for any pendulums that were purchased for this Ukrainian line, a portion of the proceeds are being donated to help those relief efforts. So
In Borispol.
yeah.
Yes. So we're...
Well, that's... Sorry, I was just going to say, I mean, what an inspired way to participate in a global way and have it be so near and dear, literally, to your world, to your whole world. I'm just here in admiration that you're doing that and you're participating. You're bringing in local government and you're doing it in a way that's creating impact. I think a lot of people are probably looking for ways to actually have an impact, and I truly hope that this message gets heard by a lot of people, especially locals who are maybe looking for a place to contribute, and you've given them a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah, thank you. It's very important to us to do something, and I think a lot of us are feeling helpless. Like, what do we do? And yeah, we can support financially. I do know for a fact that these dollars are reaching the people in Borispol for supplies, for medicine, for what they're needing right now. So that has been something that we are honored to do and to try to help with. Yeah.
But in addition to that, I think what really also warms our hearts is the fact that we were able to bring together a really beautiful group of people, group of speakers and participants whose hearts were wide open and who were there really to truly take part in the power of prayer and positive intention and spread that out into the world and use a pendulum to propel it, to really create those ripples of positivity, to amplify the energy. And, you know, if you believe in the power of prayer, if you believe that it works, we do. And we think that that's something that will hopefully lead us to a place of peace.
It's universal.
Absolutely.
Right?
It is universal.
You had people like of all different faiths and religions and colors and creeds and everything
can
there.
spread
It's
positive
beautiful.
intentions.
Anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. Anybody listening right now, you know, keep
And
those
so-
prayers flowing and the hearts open.
Yeah, one of our speakers actually said something that really stuck with me. Joan Steffen, who's a former anchor here in the Twin Cities, said that for every positive thought that we send out into the world, on a vibrational level, it reaches 750,000 people. So can you imagine if everybody is sending good thoughts and good energy and just love out into the world, how many people we can impact?
Well, just the four of us. Like,
Let's do it.
Right
Get
now.
your pendulum.
Right.
Well, and the thought that I just had is, you know, you could 1,000x that when you think of what people are getting when they're working with you directly. So you just talked about a positive thought having that kind of ripple effect. Well, let's talk about what it looks like for people to actually engage with you professionally. What happens in that experience? What do you offer? What are the results that you see? And what can our audience really expect when they meet you and they ultimately decide to work with you?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So besides these incredibly powerful tools, we also offer a variety of coaching services. we do a lot of team coaching. We work with big groups, with corporate teams, with various organizations. And we help the teams get on a path to productivity, to collaboration, to really strong, honest, and heartfelt connection. And when you have that in a team setting, you are going to have a really, really powerful team that can move mountains. We also offer executive coaching and new manager training. We really believe the higher you go to the top, the lonelier it gets. So a CEO, someone in the C-suite always needs a trusted resource, a trusted coach to help them navigate difficult decisions they face every single day. So that's something that we do on a regular basis, as well as new manager training. We also believe that when you have someone who's been a strong individual contributor and now they're all of a sudden promoted and are managing people, they need a little bit of guidance and hand-holding to become that really good, powerful, strong manager who makes beautiful decisions. So that is a key critical transition in someone's career. So we offer services to help people through that process. And
so if you were going to give advice to a new manager, you guys are both coming in, because I know you guys have different skill sets. What are the top 2 words of advice that you tell to somebody new in a chair? They're sitting down, they have this new title, they have these reports, this new responsibility, and they get to have an hour with you guys. What does that look like?
I would
Outside
say,
of breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Breathe, meditate. I think when we see there's a lot of corporate toxicity out there, right? And we've talked to a lot of corporations and teams about that. And it doesn't have to be that way, right? I mean, we have choices and we have options, and we love working with teams to help them transform from the inside out. Because even if you're working with one person on a team and helping them to get to that next level or become that great leader, that one person, what they can bring to the organization has a ripple effect. And each team, once, everybody is aligned and rowing in the same direction, if you will, that has a ripple effect on the entire organization. So it's all about really understanding who you are. And that's why we believe at the core of it, you have to understand your values, your personal values, your workplace values, and then how that relates, to yourself, to others, and then to the world around you. So that is really, foundational work that we like to do. Absolutely, because most of the time when we see disconnect in the workplace, it's because values don't align. Personal values don't align with the values of the organization or the culture. So I think that would be one of the first things that we would tackle. Whether it's with a group or individual.
So know your values and honor your values.
Yeah.
I love that. And, maybe for the corporate execs out there or team members, to get really specific here, I love what you said about rowing in the right direction. And I'd love for you both to speak to our audience and really tell them what's possible profit-wise when your team starts rowing in the right direction. So we come from this history of the corporate world, which is all dog eat dog and everyone out for themselves and not a lot of corporate character. Talk about what you've seen when you've worked with teams or within corporations where you're doing this inside work. Talk about the results that these companies are getting.
Yeah, when you have the team rowing the boat in the same direction, anything is possible, but you can't just walk in and take it for granted. You really have to work at it. And that starts with a vision that everyone on that team has to get aligned and has to really truly honor and believe from the bottom of their heart. If you have a strong team leader who carries that vision and constantly brings everybody back to why we're here and why we're doing this, and gets them jazzed and excited and feeling like they're part of the team and they're part of the solution, that is when the magic happens. When you have everybody on the same page, completely believing in what they're working towards, they can move mountains.
Yeah, and I think it's all about trust, right? At the core of it, when you trust each other and you have an environment that feels psychologically safe. Maybe you've heard the term psychological safety, where people feel like they can come to the table, that they can bring their ideas to the surface without feeling like they're going to be judged or criticized. Like Karinia said, anything is possible, but really it's about the bottom line. And, when people are able to move mountains together and reach their goals, that's when revenue starts flowing, and that's when you're able to really meet and exceed your goals, whatever they may be. So it's very individual from place to place and from team to team, but it's really a fun process to be a part of. And I think for Karinia and I, we bring a holistic approach too. We look at the whole individual, and we do it in a creative way. Creativity is very important to us, and truly everybody is innately creative, and so to be able to tap into that and have fun really is very special for us.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you can't just address just the workplace issues because, like Lana said, you got to look at the whole person and the entire team. And when you are able to look at the people as individuals and everything they have going on in their entire lives, that is when you're able to cut through the things, the obstacles that are keeping them back. When you start moving those obstacles out of the way, people become incredibly empowered, and their confidence just starts to soar. And that's when you want to see, that's when you see the magic.
I love it. So speaking of empowered, how do we empower our audience to get in touch with you? What's the first step? How do they rock on with you two brilliant souls?
Aw, thank you, Brian. They can rock on with us by getting in touch over our website or our email. Our website is www.hcdivinecreations.com. And that's for the Pendulums. And then we also have our Heart Centric Coaching Collaborative. And you can find us in both places. And we would love to offer a 10% discount to any of your listeners out there. You can use the code THEEDGE to purchase a pendulum. And again, part of the proceeds will go to help Ukrainian efforts.
And you can always email us at info@heartcentriccoaching.com.
Ladies, this was fantastic. Pendulums up. This is the Kelly and Brian Show. Thank you so much. Bye.